The night sky was once filled with shining stars, but now it was only smoke and fire. The war had burned everything. Homes were broken, cities were gone, and families were torn apart. Among the ruins walked a mother, her eyes searching through the ashes. She was not looking for food, not looking for shelter. She was looking for her daughter. Her name was Lyra, a mother of gentle heart, but war had made her hard and restless. Her people had fought bravely, but the enemy's weapons were too strong. They did not only destroy armies, they destroyed lives. Children were taken, villages wiped out, and voices silenced forever. Lyra had survived, but she wished she had not. Survival without her daughter felt like death. She remembered the last time she saw the little girl. Small hands clutching a toy made of wood, a smile that still had innocence even when the bombs fell. Then the crowd had pushed, soldiers had screamed, and the child was lost in the chaos. That moment replayed in Lyra's mind every night. Every sunrise she woke with the same question. Where is she? Years passed, but hope did not die. Lyra heard whispers in the ruins. Some said the children were taken far away. Some said they were sold. Some said they were dead. But she refused to believe the last one. She told herself, my daughter is alive. She must be alive. Hope was the only thing that kept her walking when her feet were weak. The war had left behind silence, the kind of silence that screamed louder than any weapon. Buildings stood like skeletons. The air smelled of dust and burned metal. Lyra walked through it, clutching a piece of cloth from her daughter's dress. It was all she had left. She pressed it to her face when she cried, whispering her daughter's name like a prayer. But one day the silence broke. In the middle of the ruined town, footsteps echoed. Lyra hid, afraid it was soldiers again. She crouched behind a wall, her heart racing. But the figure that appeared was not like the enemy. It was a human. Humans were strangers in this land, outsiders who had been dragged into the war. Some fought for her people, some against, and many were left wandering when the war ended. This one looked like a soldier, but his eyes were different. His face carried scars, not only of battle, but of loss. He walked slowly, like someone carrying a heavy weight on his soul. His uniform was torn, his hands stained with dust and blood. Yet when his eyes met Lyra's, there was no danger in them. Only recognition, only sorrow. Lyra stepped out carefully. Her voice trembled as she asked, "Do you know what happened to the children?" The human looked at her for a long moment. Then he spoke, his voice heavy. "I saw them. I saw where they were taken." Her heart stopped. For years she had begged for one answer, one clue, and now standing before her was a man who had seen. Her knees felt weak and she grabbed the broken wall for support. "Tell me," she whispered. "Tell me about my daughter." The man closed his eyes for a second as if the memory pained him. "She lives," he said slowly. "But not as you remember. She is gone with them now, raised among their kind. She is no longer just a child of war. She is something more." Lyra could hardly breathe. Alive. The word filled her with fire. For so long she had feared the worst. But alive meant hope. Alive meant a chance. But the man's tone warned her. This would not be simple. The human stepped closer. He pulled something small from his pocket. Lyra's breath caught. It was a tiny wooden toy, the same her daughter once held. Her hands shook as she reached for it. "This," the man said, "was with her when I saw her last. She did not forget, but she is not free." The air around them felt heavy. Lyra clutched the toy, tears spilling from her eyes. Questions stormed her mind. How did her daughter live among the enemy? Why would they keep her alive? What had they done to her? But before she could ask more, the man's eyes shifted. He scanned the ruins like a hunter sensing danger. His voice dropped low. "We cannot stay here. They are watching. They always watch." Lyra's heart pounded. Who was watching? Why now? She glanced around but saw only shadows. Still, the way the man tensed made her believe him. She tightened her grip on the toy, her daughter's last memory, and nodded. The human soldier took a step back, his face unreadable. "If you want to see her again," he said, "then you must be ready. She is alive, but she is no longer the same." The word struck like a blade. Alive, but not the same. What did that mean? Lyra's hands trembled as she held the toy close. The fire of war had destroyed her world, but now a new fire was rising inside her. The fire of a mother who would not stop until she found her child. And somewhere, in the distance, unseen eyes followed them from the shadows. The ruins were quiet, but Lyra's mind was loud. The man's words kept echoing. She lives, but she is no longer the same. Her heart wanted to believe, but fear wrapped around her hope like chains. What had happened to her daughter? What had the enemy done? The human soldier stood before her, silent as if fighting with his own memories. His face was rough, his eyes tired. But there was something inside him, a weight he carried. He was not only a soldier who had seen too much. He was a man hiding a secret. "Tell me everything," Lyra said. Her voice was desperate now, trembling. "You saw her? You truly saw my daughter?" The man nodded slowly. He did not speak at once. Instead, he looked at the broken buildings around them, as if checking the shadows for watchers. Then in a low voice he said, "I did not only see her, I spoke with her." Lyra gasped, her breath caught in her throat. After years of silence, after endless nights of searching and praying, here was a man who had spoken to her child. Her knees felt weak and tears burned her eyes. She wanted to grab him, shake him, force him to tell her everything at once, but she stopped herself. She waited. She was taken after the great burning, the soldier continued. The enemy did not kill her. They saw something in her. Something different. They brought her into their stronghold. She was not a prisoner. She was treated with care. She was raised as one of their own. Lyra's hands trembled. She pressed the toy he had given her against her chest. Why? Why would they do that? She is only a child. She is mine. The man's eyes softened. Yes, she is yours. But to them she became more. They gave her silks. They taught her their words. They placed her in halls where no child of your kind had ever walked. To their people she is not a captive. She is a princess. The word struck Lyra like a blade. Princess. Her daughter. The daughter of a broken mother, now living like royalty among the ones who had destroyed everything. Her breath came sharp and fast. She wanted to scream. She wanted to deny it. But deep inside, a small part of her whispered, if they had raised her as their own, maybe that was why she was still alive. But alive in chains of lies was not enough. The human's voice turned rougher. Do not think this is a tale of joy. She does not know who she truly is. They filled her mind with stories, with false memories. She believes she belongs to them. If you go to her, she will not call you mother. She may not even know your name. Lyra's tears spilled freely now. The thought of her daughter looking into her eyes and seeing only a stranger cut deeper than any wound. But the fire of hope was still there, burning through the pain. You will take me to her, Lyra said, her voice shaking but firm. No matter what it cost. No matter who stands in the way. The man studied her. He saw the fire in her eyes. Slowly he nodded. I can take you. But you must be ready for danger. The path to her is not safe. I am hunted because of what I know. If they find us, they will kill me. And they will kill you too. Lyra straightened her back. Let them try. For the first time, the soldier gave a small, broken smile. He had seen many warriors, many kings, many leaders fall into despair. But here stood a mother who would not bend, not even before the shadow of death. He pulled a small pouch from his belt and handed it to her. Inside was a lock of hair tied with a thin thread. Lyra froze. She knew the color, the soft strands. It was her daughter's. She gave this to me, the soldier said softly. She asked me to keep it safe. She said she did not know why, but something in her heart told her it mattered. She has not forgotten everything. Somewhere inside her, she remembers. Lyra held the lock of hair with trembling hands. The proof was real. Her daughter was alive. Her daughter still carried pieces of her past. But before she could speak, the soldier's head snapped toward the ruins. His hand went to his weapon. His eyes hardened. We are not alone, he whispered. Lyra froze. The air around them felt heavier. In the distance, a faint sound, metal scraping stone, footsteps too careful, breaths too low. Someone was following them. The soldier stepped in front of her, shielding her with his body. His voice was firm now, sharper. They have found us. We must move. If they take us, your daughter will be lost forever. Lyra's heart pounded. She clutched the pouch close to her chest, her mind racing. She had waited years for answers, and now she had them. But answers came with enemies. The soldier's eyes narrowed, scanning the shadows. He leaned close, whispering so only she could hear. Do not trust the silence. It hides knives. And then, before she could ask more, he pulled her into the darkness of the ruins. Somewhere behind them, the footsteps followed. The night carried them far from the ruins. The human soldier moved quickly, leading Lyra through broken streets and hidden paths. He knew the danger of staying in one place too long. The enemy's eyes were everywhere. Lyra followed closely, clutching the pouch with her daughter's hair as if it were life itself. Every step echoed with fear but also with burning hope. At last they reached the shell of an old transport station. Its roof had collapsed, but pieces of metal still offered cover. The soldier motioned for her to sit. His eyes searched the shadows one last time before he spoke again. "You must understand," he said, voice low. "The girl you seek is not the same child you lost. The world you dream of, running to her, holding her in your arms, that may never happen. She has been shaped by them." Lyra's chest tightened, but she did not look away. "You say this as if she has become a stranger. She may not know me, but blood cannot lie. I will remind her of who she is." The soldier studied her almost with pity. "They call her by another name. They call her Serenia. To them she is not just any child. She is their princess." The word hung in the air like thunder. Princess, Lyra's breath faltered. She had spent years imagining her daughter wandering, imprisoned or worse, but never this. To think of her child wrapped in silk, guarded by soldiers sitting on thrones built from the ashes of her people, it was almost too much to believe. Her lips trembled. "A princess of the enemy? My daughter?" The soldier nodded grimly. "They hid her past from her. They told her she was chosen, blessed by their gods, saved from the fires to lead a new age. She is taught to speak like them, to walk like them, to rule like them. She has never been allowed to remember the truth. They built her a crown of lies." Lyra's heart screamed, but her voice came out in a whisper. "And you saw her? With your own eyes?" "Yes," the man said. His voice softened as if he too was haunted. "I stood before her only for a moment. She is no longer the small child you lost. She has grown into a young woman, strong, proud, but her eyes, his own eyes, grew distant, remembering. Her eyes carry a sadness she cannot explain. Somewhere deep inside she knows something is missing." Lyra pressed her hand to her chest as if steadying her own heartbeat. "Then she will remember me." "She must," the soldier sighed. "If only it were that simple. She is surrounded by guards, by advisors, by spies. They will never allow her to hear another truth. If you appear before her too quickly, they will tell her you are an impostor, a traitor, an enemy trying to deceive her. She may even turn against you." The thought pierced Lyra like a blade. To imagine her daughter raising a hand against her, it was unbearable. Yet her resolve did not break. "I will risk it. Even if she strikes me down, she will hear my voice. She will know." The soldier's eyes narrowed, studying her fire. "You are braver than many soldiers I knew. But courage alone is not enough. To reach her, we must pass through their lands. We must enter the palace itself." The word sent a shiver down her spine. The palace, the heart of the enemy, a place where thousands had died trying to breach its walls. Now he was saying they must walk into it. "Then we go," she said firmly, though fear churned in her stomach. The soldier leaned closer. His voice dropped lower, heavier. "There is something else you must know." Lyra's throat tightened. What more could there be? "She is not only their princess in name," he said. "She is their symbol. To their people she is proof that even children of the fallen can rise among them. They show her to the crowds, dressed in jewels, standing proud. They bow to her. They chant her name. She is their future. To take her back is to strike at their heart. It will not only be dangerous, it will be war." The weight of his words fell over Lyra like chains. She saw it clearly now. Her daughter not only alive, but standing at the center of power. To steal her back would not be like saving a lost child. It would be tearing a crown from an empire. But her heart did not falter. "Then let it be war," she whispered fiercely. "A mother does not fear an empire. A mother fears only losing her child." The soldier gave a short, bitter laugh. "Then perhaps we are alike. I once fought for kings. Now I fight for nothing. But if it is your fire that guides us, maybe there is still a reason to fight." For the first time, Lyra saw something human in him beyond the scars, something broken but not dead. Before she could answer, a sharp noise echoed outside the broken station. A rock slid, a shadow moved. The soldier instantly raised his weapon. His eyes hardened. "They are here," he whispered. "They've been following us since the ruins." Lyra's breath caught. The shadows deepened. She clutched the pouch to her chest, praying to see her daughter again. The soldier stepped forward, eyes locked on the darkness. "If they know what we plan, they will not let us live." And as the silence closed around them, Lyra understood. The fight for her daughter had already begun. The ruins no longer felt safe. The sound of shifting stones and faint footsteps still echoed in Lyra's ears as she followed the human soldier into the night. He moved quickly, never pausing too long, as if danger waited behind every shadow. His eyes scanned the rooftops, the broken alleys, the corners where silence hid hunters. Lyra clutched the pouch to her chest, her heart pounding. She knew now that her daughter was alive, but to reach her meant stepping into the jaws of the enemy. The soldier finally stopped at the edge of the old road. The path ahead stretched into the distance, cracked and overgrown, leading toward the lands controlled by the enemy. The air felt heavier here, as if the earth itself warned them to turn back. "From this point," he said, his voice low and grim, "there will be no safety. Every mile will bring us closer to their soldiers. Every mistake will bring death." Lyra looked at him with fierce eyes. "Then we will not make mistakes." The man gave a small smile, not of joy but of respect. He pulled a map from his pack, its edges torn and burned. By the weak light of the moon, he pointed to a narrow path that cut through the mountains. "We will take this way. It is dangerous, but it is hidden. If we survive it, we will come out near the river that flows toward their capital. From there, the palace is only days away." She stared at the line he traced, her stomach twisting. The mountains were known as the Dead Spires, black peaks where few returned. But she nodded. She would follow no matter where the path led. The journey began at dawn. They walked through fields of ash where nothing grew. The ground cracked from fire long past. Broken machines lay half-buried, rusting in silence. Birds no longer sang here. Only the wind spoke, carrying the ghosts of war. As they climbed toward the mountain path, the air grew colder. The trail was narrow, the cliffs sharp. One wrong step meant falling into endless darkness. Lyra kept close to the soldier, her hands gripping the stone walls for balance. Each time the rocks shifted beneath her feet, her heart leapt, but she did not stop. At night they made small fires, careful to shield the smoke. The soldier spoke little, his eyes always on the darkness. But one evening, when the wind was quiet, he handed Lyra something wrapped in cloth. She opened it with shaking hands. Inside lay a broken bracelet. Her eyes widened. She knew it instantly. It was the bracelet she had given her daughter on her last birthday before the war swallowed everything. She remembered tying it on the little wrist, her daughter laughing, saying she would never take it off. Her breath caught. Where did you get this?" The soldier's voice was low. "From her. She wore it when I saw her." She held it tightly as if she knew it was a piece of her past. But the guards mocked her, said it was nothing but junk. She refused to give it up. "I took it when they tried to break it from her hand. I promised I would keep it safe." Tears blurred Lyra's eyes. The bracelet was proof more powerful than words. Her daughter had not forgotten. Not completely. The fire of memory still burned inside her, even in the palace of enemies. That night Lyra lay awake, staring at the stars that shone faintly through the mist. For the first time in years she allowed herself to dream. She saw her daughter's face not as a princess in silks, but as the little girl she had once held. The dream gave her strength, but dreams could not guard them from danger. On the third night, as they rested in a cave, the soldier froze. He held up his hand, signaling silence. Lyra's breath stopped. From outside came faint voices speaking in the enemy's tongue. The sound of boots scraping stone followed. The soldier drew his weapon. His voice was sharp but quiet. "They've tracked us here. Do not move until I say." The voices grew louder. Shadows stretched across the cave walls. Lyra's heart raced. If they were found, the journey would end here, her daughter lost forever. Suddenly a stone slipped near the entrance. A guard's silhouette appeared, scanning the cave. The soldier struck swiftly, pulling the man down before he could cry out. Lyra pressed her hand to her mouth, holding in a scream. The struggle outside was quick but brutal. The soldier returned, blood on his hands, his face grim. "They know we are coming," he said. "We must move faster. They will not stop until we are dead." Lyra trembled, but her resolve only hardened. "Then we will move faster." They pressed on through the mountains, each step more dangerous than the last. Exhaustion clawed at their bodies, but the fire of purpose pushed them forward. Lyra kept her eyes on the bracelet, the lock of hair, the toy, 3 pieces of proof that her daughter still lived. Each one gave her the strength to take another step. As the sun set on the 4th day, they reached the highest peak. Below them stretched the enemy's land, dark rivers winding through forests, and far beyond, in the distance, the faint golden glow of the palace itself. Lyra's breath caught. She saw it, her daughter's prison and her daughter's throne, the place where hope and danger waited together. The soldier's voice was rough but steady. There! That is where she is! Lyra gripped the bracelet tight. The dangerous journey had only begun. The palace rose like a golden mountain against the horizon. Its towers shimmered under the light of 2 moons, its walls covered in banners of the enemy. To Lyra, it looked less like a palace and more like a cage made of jewels. Her daughter was inside, living, breathing, but trapped in a world built on lies. The soldier guided her through the outer city. They moved through crowded streets where merchants sold bright fabrics and strange weapons. Guards patrolled every corner, their armor polished, their eyes sharp. Lyra kept her hood low, her hands trembling beneath her cloak. She felt every heartbeat in her throat. If they were discovered, the dream of reaching her daughter would end here. At last, they slipped into a hidden passage that led toward the palace gardens. The soldier had learned the paths long ago during his service. He moved with caution, pausing at every shadow, listening for every sound. Lyra followed close behind, her mind heavy with memories. Each step brought her closer to the child she had lost. Yet the closer she came, the more fear grew in her chest. What if her daughter did not know her? What if she turned away? What if the years had erased the bond between them? They reached the edge of the gardens as the bells rang. Servants hurried, torches lit the marble steps, and the sound of drums filled the air. A ceremony was beginning. The soldier motioned for Lyra to stay hidden behind the carved stone wall. Watch, he whispered. She will come. Lyra pressed her back against the cold stone, her breath sharp and shallow. She dared not blink. The sound of footsteps echoed steady and regal. Then the crowd parted and she saw her daughter. She wore flowing silver robes, her hair woven with jewels, her forehead crowned with a thin band of gold. She walked with grace, her head high, her face calm. To the crowd she was Serenia, the princess who symbolized unity. But to Lyra, she was the little girl who once chased butterflies in the fields. Tears blurred Lyra's vision. Every part of her screamed to run forward, to throw her arms around her child, to call her name. But the soldier gripped her arm firmly. His eyes warned her, not yet. The young princess stopped at the center of the garden. She stood before the nobles and guards, raising her hand. The crowd bowed deeply. Lyra's heart broke at the sight, her daughter adored by those who had stolen her. Then it happened. The princess glanced around, her eyes sweeping the crowd. For just a second, her gaze passed over the shadows where Lyra hid, and in that second something flickered. Her eyes, Lyra saw it, a spark, a hesitation, a shadow of recognition. The princess's lips parted slightly, as if a buried memory stirred. But then the moment was gone. She turned back, her face calm again, her voice strong as she spoke in the enemy's tongue. Lyra pressed her fist to her mouth to stop a sob. The soldier leaned close, whispering, "She feels something. She does not know why, but she feels it." The ceremony ended, and the princess walked toward the palace steps. The nobles followed, their silks rustling, their jewels clinking. Guards flanked her on both sides, sharp and merciless. Lyra's chest tightened. Her daughter was slipping away again. "No," she whispered. Her hands fumbled inside her cloak. She pulled out the small wooden toy the soldier had saved, her daughter's toy. Before the soldier could stop her, she leaned just far enough from the shadows. She raised the toy into the faint torchlight. The princess turned, her eyes locked on the toy. For a moment, the entire garden seemed to fall silent. Her face paled, her breath caught. The memory was not clear, not sharp, but deep inside her, she knew. She took one step forward, then another. Her guards noticed the hesitation. They whispered among themselves, confused. Lyra's tears spilled freely now. She wanted to call her name, to break the silence, but the soldier shook his head sharply, warning her. If she spoke too soon, it could bring doom. The princess stopped, her hands trembling at her sides. She stared at the toy as if it was a piece of her own soul. Her lips moved, but no sound came. Then a guard stepped forward, frowning. He spoke sharply in the enemy's tongue, asking what was wrong. The princess blinked, her face hardening again. She shook her head and turned away, hiding the storm inside her heart. The moment was gone. The crowd followed her into the palace, unaware of what had just passed. The soldier gripped Lyra's arm and pulled her back into the darkness. Her body shook with silent sobs, torn between joy and pain. "She saw it," the soldier whispered. "She remembers something." But she is afraid. They have built walls around her mind. To break those walls, you must be patient. If you rush, she will not believe. She will turn against you. Lyra clutched the toy to her chest, her heart burning. For the first time in years, her daughter had looked at her. Not as a princess, not as Serenia, but as the child who once played in her arms. And though the moment had passed, Lyra knew one thing with unshakable certainty. Her daughter was still inside that golden cage, and nothing in the world would stop her from breaking it open. But deep in the shadows, unseen by both, another figure had watched the entire scene. A cloaked spy slipped away into the night, carrying word of what had just occurred straight to the palace masters. The first meeting had ended, but the storm was only beginning. The palace was restless that night. Torches burned longer than usual. Guards doubled their watch, and whispers crawled through every hall. The nobles had not noticed what happened in the garden, but the palace masters had. A spy's report reached them. The princess had hesitated, distracted by something in the crowd. They did not know who the shadowy figure was, but they felt the danger. Inside her chamber, the young Princess Serenia sat by her window, her hands trembling. She stared at the stars, but her mind was not in the heavens. It was back in the garden, back to that moment when she saw the small wooden toy. The image burned in her mind. The toy was simple, rough, nothing like the golden trinkets she now owned, but something inside her chest had leapt when she saw it. It was not just recognition, it was memory. She saw flashes, a warm hand placing it in her small fingers, laughter in the air, a voice calling her name. But the memory slipped away before she could hold it. She pressed her hands to her face. Why did her heart ache so deeply? Why did that simple object feel more real than the crown on her head? The door creaked. An old advisor stepped in, cloaked in silk, his face stern. He bowed low. "Your Highness," he said softly, "you seemed troubled during the ceremony." The people noticed. "You must not let such weakness show. You are the symbol of unity. Do not forget what you are." Her voice was faint, trembling. "And what am I?" The advisor's eyes hardened. "You are Serenia, chosen by the gods, saved from the flames to lead us into peace. That is your truth. You must not question it." But the princess lowered her eyes. In her heart she whispered a different thought. If this is my truth, why does it feel like a lie? Far beyond the palace walls, in a hidden corner of the city, Lyra sat with the human soldier. She still held the toy, her tears long dried. Her heart was torn. She had seen her daughter's eyes. She had seen recognition flicker like a spark in the dark, but she had also seen fear. "She knows me," Lyra whispered. "I saw it in her face. But she is trapped in their lies." The soldier leaned forward. His voice was steady. "Yes, they have filled her head with false stories. But the heart remembers what the mind forgets. If we reach her again, we must show her proof, something that cannot be denied." Lyra opened the pouch and pulled out the broken bracelet, the lock of hair. She placed them carefully on the ground. "These are proof enough." The soldier shook his head. "Proof for you. But for her, proof must strike deeper. She is surrounded by whispers, by guards, by lies. To break through, you must give her something no one else can. A truth only a mother knows." Lyra stared at the bracelet, remembering the day she gave it. She remembered her daughter's laughter, the way she danced in the grass. A small smile tugged at her lips even through the pain. "Yes," she whispered. "There are truths no crown can erase." Days passed. The soldier found ways to slip her near the palace again. They moved through tunnels, hiding among shadows. And at last, the chance came. In the palace garden, the princess walked alone one evening, her guards keeping their distance. She looked restless, her hands fidgeting with her crown. That was when a voice reached her, soft, trembling, but filled with power. "My little star." The princess froze. The words echoed deep inside her, deeper than reason, deeper than memory. She turned sharply, her eyes wide. In the shadows stood a cloaked woman. Her face was half hidden, but her voice was everything. The princess's breath caught. Who are you?" Lyra stepped forward slowly, tears in her eyes. "Do you not know me?" "I know you. I carried you in my arms when you first opened your eyes. I sang to you when you could not sleep. I gave you that bracelet you still hold. You are my daughter. My blood, my heart." The princess staggered back, shaking her head. The lies she had been told screamed against the words, but her heart thundered with recognition. The memories surged, laughter, warmth, a home that was not this palace. Tears filled her eyes. No, they told me. They told me I was chosen. Lyra reached out her hand, trembling. You were chosen by me. Chosen to be loved. Chosen to be mine. For a heartbeat, the princess almost stepped forward. Her lips parted, her eyes shone. But then the sound of boots shattered the moment. Guards rushed in, shouting. The soldier appeared from the shadows, striking them back. Run! He shouted. The garden exploded into chaos. Blades clashed, torches flared. Lyra tried to reach her daughter, but the guards dragged the princess away. She screamed, reaching out, her voice breaking. Wait, please. Tell me your name. Tell me who you are. And Lyra cried out with all the strength left in her soul. I am your mother. The words hung in the night, louder than the clash of steel, sharper than the cries of guards. The princess's eyes filled with tears as she was pulled away. She did not speak again, but in her heart the walls had cracked. The truth had broken through. The palace shook with whispers after that night. The guards reported a cloaked woman and a strange human intruder. The nobles demanded answers. The advisors pressed the princess, asking why she had faltered, why her eyes had filled with tears when the stranger called out to her. But Serenia said nothing. She could not. Her heart was a battlefield, torn between the life she had been taught and the voice that still echoed in her chest. I am your mother. Those words burned brighter than the crown on her head. Days passed, but the memory did not fade. At night she dreamed of hands holding hers, of songs whispered softly, of laughter in fields of grass. Each morning she woke with tears on her face. She could no longer tell if they were dreams or memories. Yet deep inside she knew they were real. The advisors noticed the change. They warned her sternly, filling her ears with lies. The woman is a deceiver. She seeks to poison your mind. She is dangerous. Forget her. But the more they told her to forget, the stronger the truth became. Meanwhile, in the broken city outside the palace walls, Lyra sat in hiding with the soldier. Her body was weary, but her spirit burned like fire. She had spoken the truth at last. She had seen her daughter's eyes, seen the walls crack, and she knew her child would not remain caged forever. The soldier, however, was less certain. His face was grim as he cleaned his blade. They will not forgive what we did. The guards are hunting us even now. If we stay, we die. Lyra looked at him with fierce resolve. Then let us die. But not before she is free. The soldier studied her. Then slowly he nodded. So be it, one final chance. One final risk. That night the palace prepared for a grand feast. Nobles from across the land gathered, their silks shining, their voices proud. The princess was to stand before them all, proof of the empire's strength, their jewel of peace. She wore a gown of white, her crown polished until it gleamed, but her heart was not in the feast. It was with the shadowy woman whose voice still lived in her chest. As music filled the hall, she looked out over the crowd and froze. There, at the edge of the chamber, half hidden behind columns, stood the woman. No cloak this time, no hiding. Her face was bare, her eyes burning with tears and fire. The mother who had walked through ruins, who had braved mountains, who had risked death itself. She stood tall, unafraid. The princess's breath caught. Her hands trembled. Nobles cheered, unaware of the storm inside her. The soldier appeared beside Lyra, blade ready. Guards shouted as they recognized him, rushing forward with steel raised. Chaos erupted in the hall. Now! The soldier shouted. Choose now. Lyra's voice rang out, strong and unbroken. I am your mother. My blood runs in your veins. No crown, no lie, no chain can change that. The hall roared with confusion. The nobles cried treason. Guards closed in. But the princess stood frozen, her eyes locked on the woman. Her heart pounded. Memories surged. The toy, the bracelet, the lullabies, the warmth of arms that no silk robe could replace. And in that moment, the walls inside her shattered. She tore the crown from her head. It clattered to the marble floor, its gold broken against the stone. Gasps filled the chamber. The princess ran, past the nobles, past the guards, past the life of lies she had been given. She ran to the woman who waited with open arms. Mother, she cried, her voice breaking. Lyra caught her, pulling her close, her tears falling freely. For the first time in years, she held her child, not in dreams, not in hope, but in reality. The hall exploded with chaos. Guards charged, nobles screamed. The soldier fought fiercely, holding them back with blood and steel. His voice rang out above the clash. Go take her. This is your moment. Lyra clutched her daughter's hand. Together they fled through the hall, through the broken gates, through the night that now burned with fire and pursuit. Behind them the soldier's blade rang against steel, his battle cry echoing. They ran until their lungs burned, until the palace was only a golden glow in the distance. At last, they collapsed beneath the dark trees, mother and daughter holding each other, trembling, laughing, crying. The girl pressed her face against Lyra's chest, her voice a whisper. I remember now. I remember your song. I remember your hands. I never forgot, not truly. Lyra kissed her forehead, her heart breaking and healing all at once. You are mine. You were always mine, and now you are free. The forest held them in silence, the stars above bearing witness to the miracle. A daughter once stolen by war had returned, but in the distance horns sounded. The palace would not forgive betrayal. Soldiers would come. The empire would rise against them. Yet for that moment none of it mattered. Mother and daughter were together, and nothing in the universe was stronger than that.